A lot of heat for that fist bump photo with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. What did President Biden get out of that?
He got out of it a meeting with a key leader in the region. He got out of it, I think, a reinvigoration of the strategic partnership between Saudi Arabia and the United States.
He must have got something. But what did you give him?
I see the image as a win for President Biden.
But did he have to get a fist bump in public to open the door to all of that?
I don't know why we're hung up on a fist bump. I think, the two leaders met, they exchanged pleasantries. This is quite normal.
And has Saudi Arabia given any guarantees about oil? Is there really any commitment at all to add additional capacity?
So we cannot give any guarantees. We're talking about the future. The most important point in the Crown Prince's statement today was that we need to have a balanced approach towards our energy transition, because the kingdom, while it's increasing its capacity to 13 million barrels, cannot go beyond that.
And what we heard from President Biden speaking in his vision for the region was countries that the United States wants to work with should respect human rights. Is Saudi Arabia one of those?
Certainly Saudi Arabia respects human rights. We are very proud of our values, and those include a strong element of human rights based on our Islamic and our Arab tradition.
But we heard that the President brought up the issue of Jamal Khashoggi, and we understand that from the Crown Prince there was pushback pointing out the United States actions in Abu Ghraib jail in Iraq. Does that really demonstrate that you're hearing the message on this?
The key point that His Royal Highness the Crown Prince was making when he responded to President Biden was that the kingdom, like any responsible country, took the necessary action to respond to the tragedy of the Jamal Khashoggi murder. The same as the US, the same as other responsible countries. The US makes mistake, Abu Ghraib, the drone bombings that have happened recently in Afghanistan, where multiple civilians have been killed. It's the responsibility of a country to act on those mistakes, to make sure that they are investigated, they don't happen again. The kingdom did this, just as the US does this, and we expect to be held to the same standard, not a higher standard than the US holds itself. He also pointed out that there are significant issues that are not raised, so you cannot address these issues in a selective way, whether it's Shireen Abu Akleh or others. You have to be consistent.
And the President Biden's also taken heat for only bringing up the case of Jamal Khashoggi, where you have people like Lujain al-Hathloul, the women's rights activist, who was released from jail. There are other people who don't have the freedoms that perhaps they should deserve in Saudi Arabia. These are the human rights values that President Biden's taking a heat on for not bringing up. How is this really a shared relationship if there's commonality on human rights?
I don't see that they're a difference. We have a criminal justice system. The US has a criminal justice system. The criminal justice system of the US has gotten much criticism, but I think the US overall believes that they have a very good criminal justice system. We believe the same.
One of the things President Biden also spoke about was Iran, the threat that Iran poses to the region. But among the GCC members, there really isn't very much commonality. The UAE takes quite a divergent position.
I can speak for the GCC, have a unified position, and you can see that GCC communiques state quite clearly. We are having discussions with Iran, as you know, so is the UAE, so are our friends in Qatar, the Kuwait. So we all, as the GCC collective, are talking to the Iranians because we want to resolve our differences through dialogue. We hope that the Iranians will respond in kind.
What did you say to President Biden about Israel's position on a last resort strike on Iran?
It would not be in my place to comment on another country's positions.
You must have said something to President Biden, because the outfall of an action like that by Israel, supported by the United States, could have an impact on Saudi Arabia.
I mean, our discussion with President Biden, the Crown Prince's discussion with President Biden, focused on how to address the Iranian threat. And here we talked about, first of all, negotiations, but also putting together enough pressure to incentivize the Iranians to come to the negotiating table.
What does that pressure look like?
That's something we still have to figure out, because we're not there.
But what do you think are the inducements that are going to make it work?
I hope that the Iranians will take the inducements, which are better integration into the region, economic cooperation with their neighbors, which can deliver tremendous benefits for the Iranian people. Obviously, we have to protect ourselves, and here we're working with the US to build our capacity, ours and the others in the region, to build our capacity to defend ourselves against potential Iranian aggression. You will recall the attack on our facilities in Begeg. All of this means that we do need to build a robust defense posture, and we heard a commitment from President Biden to a robust defense of the kingdom.
And what does that physically look like when he says he'll give you a robust support and robust defense of the kingdom?
Of course, that's a very broad spectrum of activities that's strengthening our anti-missile capacity, working closer with the US military to interdict, for instance, arms flow into Yemen,